All right, so I'm Eddie, and I'll be talking about environmental modifications. One of the articles that I reviewed showed three specific methods to help students with ADHD in the classroom. And I'll be going through them. The first one is behavior management, cognitive behavior modification, and educational modification. So first, we're going to talk about behavior modification. I will not go through all of these points. I'm just going to summarize it. Basically, what it's talking about is establishing consequences for inappropriate behaviors for ADHD students, always staying on task with them, never delaying on consequences, and make sure that you have specific reinforcement for appropriate behavior, such as when they're seated or um, they're on task, doing simple praise as a pat on the shoulder, eye contact, and smiling, or just verbal praise. Or like as an example, I use in my classroom, I give out tickets for good behavior or for students being on task. Cognitive behavior modifications. Basically, this is teaching ADHD students to um, self evaluate and being more independent, more self motivating, but always being constant with them. So the teachers always need to be there, making sure that they're not getting out of control or that they're not being distracted. For ADHD students, are can be easily distracted and can be easily impulsive doing something else. A way to do this is for teachers to do tasks with series of steps. It makes it easier for the students. They can, if they get lost, then they can just go back and reread the steps. Always having them repeat instructions, think about the consequences, and making a plan so they can be self-sufficient and being able to stay on task so they don't get distracted or bored. The last one is educational modifications. These are definitely things that a teacher should know about. Um, so ADHD students, like I said in prior, are easily distracted. They're very impulsive, or they can be both. So any little thing can catch their attention, or if they're just stuck on something, they'll stay stuck on something. So to do that, you need to change. We as educators need to change certain things in our classroom. Knowing we have ADHD students, the best thing to do is to keep them away from possible distracting items, persons, etc., etc. Um, I found that with some students that have ADHD in my classroom, or or get easily distracted, or have a hard time staying on task, sitting them towards the front, or putting them next to somebody who's always on task, or someone that's in their class and is doing pretty well, or someone that's a little more quiet so they can stay on task. Things like that usually show like help these students like also stay on task, or at least like uh, they behave more appropriately. Um, always establishing a set of rules. In my case, I don't really call them classroom rules. I call them agreements. I set them up with all my students in the classroom. Basically, they write the rules, be it being respectful towards others, staying on task, staying in your seat, and they're the ones who make the rules. I write them out, and then we all agree as a classroom. It's been very effective in my classroom, and it also like sets it very easy for the teacher when they don't act appropriately, um, or something is happening either with an ADHD student or another student in the classroom. Then you just go like, didn't we agree that this is the way that we were gonna act and not the way you did? Never ask them why they're doing something. Instead, like ask them like, do you think this is appropriate behavior? Um, always stay consistent when enforcing classroom rules, so classroom agreements. Um, and to every educator, know your students. If a student has ADHD, then you should know that they will get distracted. They will be impulsive. They will act out. They will probably not. They will intensify if you ignore them. So you know that you'll always have to be consistent with them. Never let. Always monitor your students. Um, I like calling it the teacher eye. Some people call it the parent's eyes, but have eyes in the back of your head, always making sure that your students are on task and behaving appropriately.